Hi everybody, it's Jill Blanchette with Green Thumb Stampers. I'm here today with a tip/technique to show you. Who didn't think that they needed this stamp set? Well, you will after you watch this video. Today I'm going to show you how to make a background such as this using a little bit of spritzer and your Stampin Write markers. First, you're going to get yourself a plastic bag. This one's really large. You don't need one this large. A sandwich baggie would work just fine. And I wrote wet on it because it's going to get wet, and I just wanted to know in my head which side I had all my ink on. So what you want to do is get yourself several coordinating colors of ink. Markers. I shouldn't say ink. The markers. Be sure that your choices, you don't want them, they're going to get wet and they're going to run together. You'll see that in here. They'll run together. So you don't want anything that's going to turn muddy and like gray or brown. So I have some fresh freesia, and you're going to go with the brush end of it and just scribble on your bag. In an area, you could put your paper underneath to show you, where you need to color, if you want to be precise with where the color goes so you know how much space you have, or you can just wing it and color. So now I've got my Highland Heather next, and I'm going to put that one right up to the top one, and then I'm going to finish off with my Orchid Oasis. So I'm just going to color on my bag. So I'm going to bring in my watercolor paper, and I brought my spritzer, so I'm going to spritz some water on it. Now you can get it as wet or as wet all over or less wet as you want. You will want it to, be able to puddle up a little bit in some spots so that it moves around. But it's amazing that you really don't need very much water. I probably just put too much on there. Take your bag and tip it over and kind of place it on that paper where you want it, and then just smoosh it and kind of do this with it so that it runs the colors together, and then lift it off. Okay, once you lift it off, you'll have the pooling, and then I just kind of shake it like this to get it to move around. And now you can see down here I didn't probably have enough water. So I'm going to spritz again. Just down here. And help it run around a little bit. We could take the blue and lay our bag back down, help it smush around, because it's still wet on our bag. And like I say, you can pick the paper up. I like to give it a chance to move around on its own and dry while it's doing it without too much running together. And then you need to set it aside to dry, and that's what it looks like. So I got one more piece of paper. I'll show you again. I'm going to wipe off my bag with my little towel thing I got here. Going to fresh freesia, Highland Heather, Orchid Oasis. Get your water out. Spray your paper. I think I need some more. I don't want to be too strategic, but I'm going to run into the same problem I had with the last one, and it's going to be not wet enough on the parts of it. Lay your bag over the top, and then just kind of smoosh the plastic around. And now you can see down here, you see the water kind of moving around. My biggest trouble was trying to figure out how to lift the bag up, because can you see the water's moving with the bag? So I kind of smushed and plucked it. Then, like I said, I picked it up and then I just flap it around in the air to get the water to move around. If I hold it on the different sides as I'm moving it, it moves in different directions. And then I'm just going to set it aside to dry. So let's hang on for a couple minutes while I let these dry, and I'll be back. I forgot that I wanted to show you another technique with the same scenario. I'll clean my bag off, but we are going to take our markers and we're going to just color in spots all over the bag for a totally different look. And I can see through my bag where my colors went down. I got my watercolor paper. Let's go ahead and spritz it up. And that's just water I have on there. And then I'm going to lay this down on my paper and give it a little smoosh around. Then I'm going to just pluck my bag off and let the colors kind of run around. I do want to try and get a little more down at the bottom down here. So let's smoosh the bag on to get a little more color down at the bottom. And then this is more, I'm going to call it more of a tie-dye effect. I got some blue right there I want to get off. A little purple. It's more of a tie-dye effect than this particular look where I'm using this ballerina, so I'm just trying to frame her on there. But this one, let me show you what it looked like when it was done. It's just a totally different look, and I was making cards with the ballerina, but I thought, oh, let me give this a try. And so that's what that one would look like, this one, when it's all dry. And let me show you a couple other, I'm going to wipe my bag off before I end up getting that wet ink everywhere. I also tried, like this one, I used Daffodil in the center shade, and the Highland Heather and the Orchid, and then I stamped the ballerina in the Orchid for yet another contrasting variety of look to it. But for the most part, what I did after these dry, these are starting to dry pretty good. After it's dry, you want to make sure it's really good and dry. Hit it with your heat tool, whatever. Then make sure you tap all over it with your embossing buddy after it's dry. And then I stamped the ballerina in Versamark, and then I used black ink or black embossing powder to go over the ballerina. And then through trial and error, I figured out that I want to blast the underside. So once the ballerina's on there and you got your embossing powder on her, heat the bottom real quick, a couple runs over it so that it's sticking, and then come over the top and then finish heating her up. Because as you could see, even though I use the embossing buddy, can you see here, you see over here, right there, what happened was I hit the heat on the ballerina and it flung some of the powder off, and then when the heat got to it, it stuck in all kinds of places that I did not want it. So that's my video for this week, you guys. I won't show you the whole card. I just layered it on Orchid, Highland Heather, and then I put this watercolored piece on that I heat embossed, threw some jewels on there. I also Versamarked the sentiment, and then black embossing powdered it, and then I did the same on the inside. So there you go with this week's technique, tips, and it's tips and techniques combined this week. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that technique and the little tips that I interjected in there. I'll be back again next week. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.